So before this video gets started, I just want to catch you guys up on what happened between this episode and the last episode, because there was a stream on Twitch between this episode and the last episode that didn't make it to YouTube, mostly because a lot of the work that we did in that stream was kind of grindy, repetitive work, and a lot of the stream is just me talking to the Twitch chat about random stuff. So if you want to check it out, I will put a link in the description to where you can watch the full VOD of that stream. But for those of you who do not want to watch that 2-hour VOD, this will be a quick recap of what we did. So I started out by building some more of the nether. If we head on through real quick, you'll see that I have kind of just filled in the holes that we left previously. And so we now have kind of like a solid block of nether here with just one missing chunk in the middle that I've been using to get up and down. And I added a few more excavate modifiers to my pickaxe. I believe previously we were at 5 out of 25, and I added 5 more, so yeah, now we're at 10 out of 25 excavate modifiers, allowing us to excavate a slightly larger area at a time. And so I went through to the nether and just started excavating a ton of netherrack, trying to find Certus quartz, mining the Certus quartz when I could find it, and then we brought it all back. I processed pretty much all of it into pure Certus quartz crystals. So we took them, we ran them all through the Saga mill, crafted them with sand to make seeds, and then ran them through the crystal growth chamber to make them into pure Certus quartz crystals, because that way you effectively double the number of crystals that you have ready to work and make items and blocks from Applied Energistics 2. We then went ahead and did a bunch of deep mob learning. We crafted up 3 new data models: the zombie data model, the wither skeleton data model, and the shulker data model. Each of these fairly easy to make. They all require the blank data model and then one item that is related to the mob in question. And then essentially I spent about an hour and a half just killing a bunch of zombie pigmen, which do count towards the zombie data model. There is no zombie pigman data model, and a bunch of wither skeletons. If we go across here, you'll see that the zombie data model is at self-aware tier, which requires 98 kills, and the wither skeleton one is also at self-aware, the highest tier, again, 98 wither skeleton kills. The shulker one is still at basic tier. We did kill 6. You do have to kill 6 before you can use the data model in a simulation chamber, so we've kind of hit the bare minimum here with the shulker model, mostly because the shulkers are a bit of a pain to kill, and also we haven't found a spawner yet, so killing 98 of these would require a ton of exploration and a ton of just awkwardness, because they're a bit of a pain to fight. So we're probably just going to let the simulation chamber kind of do the rest on this one. It will eventually get up to self-aware, but it will take some time. And yeah, that's basically it. We did also make the Danknull here, which is a pretty nifty device that is fairly easy to make. You need 5 of these redstone Danknull panels, which are made with blocks of coal, redstone, and glass pins. You can make multiple different tiers of these. We have just gone with the basic tier for now. The different tiers just increase the number of items the Danknull can hold per slot. I'll show you what I mean here real quick. If we shift right click on the Danknull, you'll see that we have 9 slots along the top here, and each slot can hold up to 128 of a given item. The first benefit of this is that you can void excess items that you don't want. So you'll see the first item that I put in here is nether brick. Because of the fact that we have auto smelt on our pickaxe, when I went to the nether and when I started ore excavating large amounts of netherrack, our inventory filled up very, very quickly with nether brick. You can see here I've got well over 1,000. I really didn't want any more, and with the Danknull, what you can do is you can put items in here, and if you pick up any more of a given item, once the Danknull is full, the Danknull will just delete that item. So I just deleted a stack of nether brick, which again, because of how much netherrack we were breaking, this was kind of a must. Otherwise, we were going to end up with just thousands of nether brick that we really didn't want. The other benefit is that you can use it in the same way for something like cobblestone, but you can also use it to place down commonly used blocks. So, for example, if I grab some endstone here and I put that in as well, not only is that going to be helpful when we go mining again, because it means that once we get to more than 128 endstone, it's not going to fill up our whole inventory, it's just going to be deleted, but you'll notice in the bottom right that if I hold shift and use the scroll wheel, we can scroll through the 3 different items that I have stored in there. And also, if I shift right click and hover over one of these items again, you'll see about halfway down it says P plus click to toggle placement mode. So if I hold down P and click, you'll see that that second line down where it says placement mode changes to place orbit 16, and if I click again it goes to place orbit 64, and we can kind of cycle through here. I'm going to leave it on place orbit 1, and essentially what that means is that if we have the endstone selected, again shift and scroll wheel in the bottom right there, what we can then do is we can then just right click with the DevNull to place down endstone, and it will allow me to place down all but the very last piece of endstone there, just to make sure that the endstone slot is preserved within the DevNull. And again, we could shift over, we could do some cobblestone building here, we could shift back and do some more endstone. Pretty nifty stuff. I might even want to get a couple of the commonly used base blocks in my dev null as well, stuff like the endstone brick here that we break quite regularly. I could do with getting that in there. That way I don't have to carry around a ton of different blocks in my inventory. I can just hold a few of them inside the dank null and then, you know, scroll through and find the one I need. I do also think that the higher tiers here might also have more slots. They do indeed. You'll see this one has 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, and then this one is creative, and I don't think you can craft it, but you'll see the number of items per slot goes up, and the number of slots goes up as well. So those are pretty useful. We might find ourselves upgrading ours in the future if we want to get more blocks stored, or if we just want to be able to hold more than 128 of certain items that we want to get rid of. But yeah, that's basically all we did in the last stream. We crafted the dev null, we mined a bunch of Certus quartz, and we killed a bunch of zombie pigmen and wither skeletons. And that's about it. That's really all we did for about 2 hours, and is why we didn't make it to YouTube. But now the plan is to hopefully be able to start using these data models here. And to do that, we need to automate the creation of polymer clay. And to automate the creation of polymer clay, we could do with automating the production of regular clay, which in and of itself requires the automation of sand, because we're using sand with the Clayconia to make regular clay, which is where I'm going to pass back off to Isaac of the past for me, but of the future for you, who is going to do just that. I think the first thing, chat, that I'm going to do here is potentially move the controller for our storage drawers for 2 reasons. One, it's going to make life a lot easier in terms of automating sand and clay. And 2, it looks a little janky here, but mostly due to the fact that it's not symmetrical with this, this other pillar on the right. And so I am fairly certain that if we grab some of this framed trim here, and if we also grab the old purple block, and we quickly chisel that to be the same texture as the purple pillars here, that we should be able to do something like this, and basically get a trim that looks exactly like the existing purple block, at which point we should hopefully then be able to go ahead and do something like that. I'm not going to lie, it doesn't look perfect. It's got like a weird shadow glitch on there that I was not anticipating. But for the most part, I think that's probably fine. And what that's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to move the draw controller a little further away. Now, the way the draw controller works, you can have, basically, it will connect to any storage drawer within a 25 by 25 block radius around it, so up to 12 blocks in each direction. So it's got a pretty huge radius there, which is nice. I am going to grab some more trim, and we might end up getting more like custom trim, but for now, I think any trim should do the job. So let's grab you, and then let me think about how I want to do this. I think I want to move it over just a little bit. The idea being here, chat, that I want to put my Hopper Hawk, this guy here, right next to the draw controller, so that any items that are collected, in this case, we're going to be collecting sand and clay, I want those to go directly into the storage drawers, right, for sand and clay, which we are going to have to make in a second, but that shouldn't be an issue for us. So let's do, for now, something like this. We can always move that in a second. We do need to get this reconnected, otherwise we can't access, like, our system is basically empty, or at least it's void of all of the important resources if we don't have our storage drawer connected up via the old storage bus here. But essentially, if we go and grab 3 storage drawers, and by 3 storage drawers, I think I actually mean like 1 more here, because we can also grab the one for cobblestone out here, because we are going to move this this cobblestone generator. And if we are going to move the cobblestone generator, I think it does definitely make sense here, chat, to use the old packing tape, which I think we might be out of, I guess. Oh no, it looks like maybe we just have the 1 left. We do, perfect. So we'll grab this, and people in the Twitch chat and in the YouTube comments have mentioned previously that there is a slightly better way of getting cobblestone than using the mechanical miner here, and that is using the mining upgrade from Extra Utilities 2. This allows you to generate cobblestone with lava and water, and you can do it in a much smaller area than you would with I say a much smaller area. You can do it in a slightly smaller area than you can with the default kind of cobblestone generator that we have already. So essentially, if we grab 2 buckets, and if we grab both our lava and water, which I believe are just hanging out down here. They are indeed. What we're going to do is we're going to head on back to near to the storage drawer. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the way that this one works is you can essentially put down the cobblestone, or the lava and water even, just either side of the cobblestone. So something like this, and this, and this. And then if you put down a transfer node with the mining upgrade in it, that should work. So at that point, I'm thinking we'll put the drawer for cobblestone like right here with framed storage drawers here and here. Perfect. And at that point, I am thinking that I will maybe shimmy this over by one. Like we'll put down one trim right about there, and then we'll put down the old drawer controller itself right about there. Now, of course, at that point, we do also have to connect it back up to the main system, so more trim is required. All right, so something a little bit like this. So now, yeah, these are all connected up. We can see our cobblestone is in there. The drawer controller is connected up to the system, and via the trim here, it's connected up to all of these drawers as well. Perfect. So we're going to have sand, I think, over in this left drawer, and then clay over on the right. So we'll do sand like that, and then clay like that. You do want to make sure you lock the drawers, otherwise the system will try and put things like end lead ore in there, which you do not want. So lock, lock, and lock. Perfect. And then what I'm thinking there, chat, or what I'm thinking now, is we're going to have a mana pool here, and I think I will make a new mana pool if we have the living wood for it, or the living rock for it. We don't, which is a little unfortunate, but I will quickly get some more living rock, I think, to make the old mana pool here. And essentially my plan is to move some of the mana that's being generated here over to this area over here. And we're going to have a mana pool that's dedicated to making both clay and sand. And I really don't think that's going to be too hard for us to do. It does mean we are going to have to steal the old alchemy catalyst here and place that down underneath the new mana pool. And it also means, chat, that we are going to have to get a few more sparks, which you can use to transfer mana fairly long distances. Now, if you want to actively move mana from one pool to another, I think the easiest way to do that is using these spark augments here. And I believe the one that we are after is the dominant spark augment, which is made with a mana steel, a pixie dust, and a rune of fire. Thankfully, the rune of fire we do have. That's definitely the hardest part of the recipe there. All we need now is a mana pearl and some mana steel. And then, of course, we need to throw the mana pearl through the old Alpine portal. That should get us some pixie dust. It does indeed. And boom, dominant spark. So the way that that works is that there are a few different types of sparks, but the two that are most important for us right now, I guess, are the dominant and the recessive. So dominant sparks will pull mana from any mana pool that has a spark that doesn't have an augment, right? So for example, if we put down a spark right about here, and there is already a spark there as well, and for reference, sparks, much like the storage drawer, can access anything within a 25 block radius around them, so up to 12 blocks in each direction. And so actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We might have to put our mana pool like here, because otherwise it might be a little too far away. Let me crunch those numbers again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, I think the mana pool, we could have done with this being a bit closer, I guess. But I think if we put a mana pool here, and if we put down the spark, and if we give this spark the dominant augment, it should then begin pulling mana from this mana pool here. And actually, I guess both of these mana pools here. And that's going to fill up, right? So basically, we're just using the mana that's being generated by these ender flames over here for our sand and clay setup. Now, we're also going to want to grab another open crate, if we can. I do believe that we have quite a few open crates ready to go. We do indeed. And you can build on top of these, by the way. So for example, I'm going to do this and this just to get the crate down where I want it. And the spark does still work, even if it's covered up by a block. So that is completely fine. We do, of course, want to have our catalyst underneath like so. And I guess we're also going to have our Clayconia down as well. And the final piece of the puzzle then is just the mechanical user, which we're going to put down, I guess, maybe like right about here, just for some symmetry. Yeah, that seems fine. So the idea that I have here, chat, is that we're going to use item conduits, much like we did with our mineral wood. And we're going to trigger them using redstone to send cobble over to the crate to make sand, and then sand over to the user to make clay. We're then going to put our hopper hock down right next to the drawer controller. So basically anything that's dropped here now that has a storage drawer, So I don't think dirt does have one, but if we drop, also cobblestone might be full. It is. If we were to drop, say, endstone, that endstone should be collected and should be placed into the storage drawer for endstone. It works. Nice. That's as kind of a side benefit. The most important part is that it's going to collect the clay and the sand and put them into these two drawers here. So all we're going to do is we're going to run a cable. Let's do, I guess, something like this for the open crate. And then we'll go, I think, underground for the mechanical user, just to make it look a little nicer. Now, of course, we do need to be able to send a redstone signal when we need sand or clay. And that is where our good old friend Applied Energistics comes in, because we can use a level emitter, this guy right here, or the item level emitter, to output a redstone signal when we, for example, have less than 64 sand, or less than 64 clay, or less than 500 sand. We get to set the limit. And we'll make one of these in just a second. Thankfully, they are not too difficult to make, and it should work quite nicely for us. There we go. So let's see. Do we have what it takes to make a level emitter? We do not. We need some calculation processes. I would like to get 2 level emitters, if possible, one for the sand and one for the clay. Thankfully, we do have now a plethora of pure Certus quartz crystals. There we go. And so once we have 2 calculation processes, we should then be able to make, hopefully, with one more redstone torch, 2 level emitters. Nice. Now we do also need some more ME cable here, which again really shouldn't be too difficult for us. We do need a bit more quartz fiber, but that is again totally doable. Beautiful. And so the way that we're going to do this is we're going to have one level emitter right about here. So we'll do cable. We'll connect that up in just a second. And we're going to have a level emitter right there. And then we're also going to do the same thing under, actually, I guess we'll do it on, yeah, no, we're going to do the same thing, but this time connect it up like right here. So we're going to have it right there. Basically just connecting it to the first cable that comes out of the storage drawers. So if we connect that up, which shouldn't be too difficult, we do, of course, have a cable fairly close by here. We do want to try, though, and make sure that we don't, like, break into the lava if we can avoid it. Yeah, this might be a little awkward, but we can make this happen. Might need a little bit more cable, though. Yeah, just a little one more. Boom. Okay, so now we have 2 level emitters that are going to output redstone signal. If we right-click on this, we need 1 sand and 1 clay. So this one here above the cobblestone is going to be for sand. So basically, we're going to put in the sand. And over here on the right, there's an option for redstone mode. So we could choose to emit a signal when the levels are above, below, or equal. So we're going to go and set the signal to emit when the levels are below. So let's say when we have less than 64 sand, that's when we want a redstone signal to be emitted. Over here, we're going to set this to insert. And over here, we're going to set this to extract. But then this time, we're going to go active with signal. And so right now, we have got 258 sand. If we were to take all that sand out, or at least enough of that sand out to drop below a stack, the system should start sending the cobblestone over, turning it into sand. The hopper hawk should then collect the sand and put it back in the system. And when we get over 64, it's going to stop. Nice. So now, basically, we have a system in place that is going to, hopefully, always make sure that we have sand when we needed it, or when we need it, right? We could, if we wanted to, set this a bit higher, you know, maybe like 128, just in case we do use a lot of sand at any one given time. But we can always come back in the future and up this if we need more sand, right? For now, though, that's fine. Down here, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go emit when levels are below a certain limit. But this time, we're going to do clay. And again, we'll do the same. We'll do 128, I think. So right now, we have 144. That's fine. We do need to make sure that we set this guy up here to insert. And once again, this guy over here to extract active with signal. And once again, if we cover all this up, which we can do now, if we were to take some of our 144 clay out, what we should see, we need to make sure that this is set to place block, right click, and I'm also going to say upper left slot only, and then fill the rest of these slots with cobblestone, basically because I don't want this to get backed up. It does take a little while for it to make clay. Like, it's not quite as fast as making sand. And so if you're not careful, you do end, and if you don't, you know, specify upper left slot only, you can kind of fill this up with sand pretty quickly. But that should work. It's going to get the sand, it's going to right-click to place it down, and that sand, or that clay even, is going to be collected by the Hopper Hawk and placed into the drawer. And so, essentially, chat, now, if we wanted to automate the production of polymer clay, we should have, basically, infinite clay to do that, right? Because our mana is being made infinitely with the wood that is being generated infinitely by our bonsai pots. So long as we have enough mana to continually make sand and clay, which I think we do, it uses a very small amount of mana, and we do have 2 mana pools over here connected to making it, and all the ender flames that go along with that. So I think that should work. We do, of course, need to make sure, chat, of a few things. One is that we need to make sure we get the mining upgrade from extra utilities, because otherwise our cobblestone generator is not going to work. And I have just noticed that my cable placement is a little off, because right now I cannot currently place down the pipe to connect up the cobblestone, but that's fine. We can do a little bit of rewiring. That really shouldn't be too difficult for us. So let's get a golden pickaxe. There we go. And that should allow us to make the mining upgrade. It does. Nice. Cool. So like I said before, we're going to put that in here, and that's going to start generating cobblestone. So it essentially makes it into a cobblestone generator. It's also a little less laggy because it doesn't actually break the cobblestone, so it's a little nicer on the old server as well. Now, like I said, I am going to have to do a little bit of careful cable placement here because we need to break this and then do, I guess, this and that so we can put the pipe down here. Oh, no, that's still wrong. Let me, oh gosh, that's very wrong. Yeah, we need cable here and here. There we go. That's a little less than ideal because it means you can see the cable now, unfortunately, or more of the cable. But that's okay. And then we should have spare pipe, I believe, in the old shulker box. We do indeed. And so if we go boom and boom, that should work. That should continue to pump cobblestone into, and let's not, you know, I'm quite tempted just to do like this, just so I don't like break the shulker box and have it accidentally go in the lava or anything like that. That's fine. But yeah, that should work quite nicely, chat. We should have all the cobblestone be generated, pumped over into the storage drawer. When we run low on sand, the cobblestone is sent over, currently in batches of 4, but we can change that if we want with speed upgrades or speed downgrades. Placed into the open crate, turned into sand. That sand is collected by the Hopper Hawk, and then placed into this drawer here. If we need clay, the same thing happens, but this time with the sand is pulled out, sent around to the mechanical user, placed down, turned into clay, and collected by the Hopper Hawk. Nice. And I do think, chat, that in the interest of a little bit of tidiness, we can also get rid of this, I guess, as well. But in the interest of tidiness, I will make some conduit facades here. Do you have any spare cable anchors? We do. Yeah, if we make some conduit facades, we can nice and easily cover up some of these cables here to make it look a little less janky. And I believe we can even, if we want, like cover up like that. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. For a fairly clean overall setup. Yeah, sometimes it's easier if you place this down first and then do this. Like that makes it a bit easier to work with. There we go. Nice. Yeah, I think this is not bad. The only thing that you can see now is the Hopper Hawk. And in fact, I might even just move the Hopper Hawk like up to the top of the draw controller, like that. The Hopper Hawk does, I believe, by default, have a 6-block range. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it should be able to get anything up to here, which means, and that's 6 in each direction. So it should be able to collect what comes out of the mana pool. That could prove to be an issue maybe if things like spill out over onto this block, potentially. So we might have to like build a wall here, or maybe some glass or something. I'll move this forward. But I think, for the most part, that's a pretty clean setup, chat, for generating unlimited sand and unlimited clay. And of course, the unlimited sand has the added benefit, chat, of allowing us to make unlimited endstone, which is also something that I've been talking about for a little while now, because if we want to fully automate the orchid here, we need to automate endstone. Up until now, I've been coming on time and time again to refill this mechanical user with endstone. In an ideal world, it would automatically be refilled with endstone. And if you craft sandstone with ender pearls and extraterrestrial matter, you can do just that. You can make the endstone. So my plan is to get the ender pearls from the loot fabricator from our Enderman data model, which should be fairly easy to do. That data model also gives us extraterrestrial matter. We can then combine that up with the sand that's been generated over here to basically generate infinite endstone that we can have crafted by our system and deposited over into that drawer over there. I think that's going to be the perfect solution. And it also takes us on to why we crafted up a zombie data model. Because again, if we look at the polymer clay, one of the things that we need if we're going to make unlimited polymer clay is iron, right? We need a lot of iron. And we can get iron using the zombie data model. If you get pristine zombie matter, which you get most often from a self-aware zombie data model, you can then use that pristine zombie data matter to make iron nuggets, and then we can use those iron nuggets to make polymer clay. And because you get 16 iron ingots for every 1 pristine matter, and because a self-aware data model has a 42% chance of getting you a pristine matter, that means that approximately every 2 or 3 polymer clay, you're going to get 16 iron, and every 1 iron gets you 16 polymer clay. So we create a positive kind of feedback loop there where we get extra iron from that system. So I think it's probably finally time, chat, for us to first clear out our inventory a little bit, but also for us to take a look at and actually setting up some deep mob learning, right? And specifically, we're going to need a few more simulation chambers because we need 1 per like data model that we're going to work with. Right now, we've got just the 1. We need like 3 more if we're going to run all of them. And we do, I think, want to run all of them. We don't necessarily need to run them all just yet. The Enderman one is needed if we want to create endstone. The zombie one is needed if we're going to make iron. The shulker one can be used to make diamonds, which is just a nice thing to have. We don't strictly need it, but it is going to make it easier. And it means we don't have to keep going and mining for diamonds if we ever run out. And then the wither skeleton data model is used to make wither skeleton skulls that we can use to make, we can use to spawn withers if we want to complete the quests over here for the wither simulation chamber. And we can also use it to make nether stars, right? So let's start, chat, by getting ourselves at least 1 loot fabricator, which really shouldn't be too difficult to make. We do need a soot-covered machine casing, which does need some soot-covered plates, which do require obsidian, but thankfully it would seem that we do still have some soot-covered plates left over from the last time we did deep mob learning. I'm also going to go ahead, chat, and make like a stack of soot-covered redstone here, just so we have it ready to go. We've got over 1,000 redstone, so I'm not really too worried about it. We do also need some yellow dye, and thankfully, can we use, we can use floral yellow powder. For now, I will use these dandelions because we have them, but going forward, we should definitely be using, I think, the yellow powder where possible, just because it's a lot easier to come by. But really, chat, the old loot fabricator here isn't too difficult to make. I am noticing, however, that we are filling up our drives here. Yeah, our drives are now full up on types. And one of the problems there is probably all of these stone swords that we don't need. We killed a bunch of pigmen and also a bunch of wither skeletons, which is why we have like a bunch of, you know, trash basically in our system here, like a bunch of gold swords and whatnot. If we clear these out and just quickly throw those in the old trash can here, because we really don't need them, and that should free up at least a little bit of space for us to work here. You'll see now they've gone from all being orange to just one of them being orange, because we're not really filling up on bytes, we're mostly filling up on types. There's the redstone comparator, and just as soon as we get a soot-covered machine casing, a loot fabricator. Nice. So the way that this works, I am going to do this, I think I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to do it over here for now because our power's here, but I think as soon as I've kind of demonstrated it, we'll spend a bit of time running some cabling over, and we'll do all of our loot fabrication. Maybe I'll move the bed and we'll do it like right here. We'll have like a couple of fabricators and simulation chambers. For now, though, let's have a look. So we put down the simulation chamber. You put in the data model that you want to use. In this case, we're going to start with the Enderman data model. Like so. That one says cannot begin a simulation, is missing the polymer clay medium. So we get some polymer clay, which shouldn't be too difficult for us now. And you know what? We'll go for a stack. Throw that in. That's going to slowly but surely run through its simulation here. Different data models do require different amounts of power, by the way. This one requires 80 RF per tick, which is quite low. But then the wither skeleton data model requires 880 RF per tick. These here require 150 each. And I think like the wither skeleton, or the actual wither data model, requires like 2,500 RF per tick. It's pretty high. But once that is done, that should have a 42% chance of generating a pristine enderman matter. Nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of the extraterrestrial matter and all of the pristine matter out of there, and the extraterrestrial matter, and then the pristine matter is going to be placed in the loot fabricator, like so. And then you do have a choice of what you make. We could get some use out of Infinity Booster cards, but I think for now, the Ender Pearls are going to make life a lot easier and are going to allow us to automate Endstone. So we can click Ender Pearls. That's going to turn that 1 Pristine Matter into 3 Ender Pearls, and it does save the choice. So now going forward, all we would have to do is, for example, get some item conduits, and then do something like this. Make sure this one is set to extract, always active, and this one is set to insert. And that should take the Pristine Matter out of there, hopefully, and pump it up into here. No? So after a little bit of discussion there with the old Twitch chat, these machines are a little janky when it comes to which sides they can insert on and whatnot, but for the most part, they're not too bad. And essentially, you have to insert the Pristine Matter into the top of the Loot Fabricator, and you can pull the Pristine Matter out of the bottom of the Simulation Chamber. So essentially, what I'm thinking is we put down the Loot Fabricator like here. The Twitch chat did recommend using a flat transfer node, which I think we've mentioned before, and I am a big fan of flat transfer nodes. They work very much so in the same way as regular transfer nodes, but they squeeze between blocks. I think it does say here, thinner than the thinnest of pancakes, small enough to fit between blocks. Very nice indeed. It does require a few blocks of iron here. Thankfully, that shouldn't be too big of a deal, because hopefully we are going to automate a good deal of iron today once we get the zombie data model up and running. So if we do something like that, that gets us 8 flat transfer nodes. And I believe we want to hit Control and then right-click, because let me get some chests here to try and demonstrate this, I guess, real quick. You can either place them on normally, like that, and they go red, or, and I think we might need the wrench here maybe to detach these. That's not right. I don't think you need the wrench, actually. I think you can just shift left click. Oh no, maybe you do need the wrench. Either way. Or you can shift right click, oh sorry, control right click, like that, to make them green. And I believe green is the, like, you set it to green if you want it to pull items into that inventory. So if I were to put down my iron chest here, what should happen is items should be pulled, I think, from here into here. And they are. Nice. Now, if I were to do that the other way around, if I were to not hold control, if I were to pop this off, shift right click, or shift left click, sorry, and then I were to just put it on normally, and then put this down, now I believe items are going to move the other way. So now I don't think items are going to move out of here. Instead, they're going to move out of here. Yeah. So in this case, we want items to move into the Loot Fabricator. So all we need to do is control, right click to make it green, and then put the Simulation Chamber on top like so, at which point the Pristine Matter should be generated and should be pulled down to the bottom here. Now, on top of that, I believe that we can also use the old flat transfer nodes here. And again, if we do this time just a regular right click, because I'd like to extract out of the Simulation Chamber into a storage drawer. That storage drawer, of course, is going to be for the extraterrestrial matter. So we are going to want to get, I think, another drawer frame, or another framed drawer even, along with some endstone bricks, some endstone panel, and some purple blocks. Like that. And boom. So what should happen there, I believe, is if we give this thing power, which we can do very quickly, we can do a test with the culinary generator. If we give it power, and if we put in the data model with the polymer clay, we should, hopefully, generate some pristine matter. I'm hopeful that the extraterrestrial matter will make its way over into this frame drawer, and that the pristine matter will make its way down into the Loot Fabricator. So that worked, the pristine matter worked, and the extraterrestrial matter also worked. Perfect. So this works as intended. Now we do need to leave a bit of a gap between this one and the next set, because we do also have to put an export bus down on the simulation chamber here. We'll probably hide the power cables in the back wall there using conduit facades for both the Loot Fabricator and the simulation chamber. And then we'll have, you know, ME cable, which we are going to need to make more of, in the middle, like here and here, with an export bus there that's exporting the polymer clay, And we'll also then have another simulation chamber here with another loot fabricator there. That one can be, for example, iron, and then, or zombie making iron. And then we can just mirror that here and here as well. So we got like a nice setup there, I think, for 4 simulation chambers and 4 loot fabricators. I think that's going to work well. We have all of our simulation chambers. We have all of our loot fabricators. We have all of our flat transfer nodes down. Over here, we've got our zombie data model, which is going to pump hellish matter to the left, and it's going to pump its pristine matter down to the bottom. I'll take those out for now. Over here, and hopefully that should be basically working. Yeah, we should put polymer clay in there, which we'll get to in a second. We'll get to automating that, I should say. Here we've got the Enderman. Same thing. This is going to make extraterrestrial matter. Pump that out to the right and make the pristine matter down at the bottom. We're making ender pearls. Here we have the shulker matter. This one also makes extraterrestrial, so that's going to pump it out to the left and make the pristine that goes down to the bottom. And then over here we have the wither skeleton, which makes, the zombie makes overworldian matter. The wither skeleton makes hellish matter, pumps that out to the right, and its pristine matter down to the bottom. We have hooked these all up with power. If we look at our conduit here, we can't see it, but they're all hooked up along the back, which we do need to cover up at some point, but that's a problem for future Isaac. And then that runs along the floor over and to our diesel generator, and we've also run cabling under the floor, around and over, and you can even see there's some facades here, running it around and over and connecting it up to the pre-existing cable that was for the storage bus. So now we need to do a few things, chat. One of the first things we need to do, I think, is set up an ME controller, because, as mentioned before, without an ME controller, you can only have a maximum of 8 channels on your network. And right now, I think we might possibly be over that limit. I'm not quite sure if the advanced inscriber and the crystal growth chamber count. I think they do. I'm also not sure if the wireless access point counts. I think it does. We can test this with a smart cable. If we get the a regular old ME smart cable, which is made with basically covering a regular cable in wool and then crafting it like so, essentially what we can do is if we go ahead and move this, you can put the cable down, and it essentially works like a normal cable, but it tells you how many channels it's using. So right now it says 6 of 8. I think these might not count, chat. That being the advanced inscriber and the crystal growth chamber, because I think these are basically just using the system for power. They're not using it for, they're not using a channel. So yeah, I don't think the inscriber or the crystal growth chamber count. Like, you'll notice that didn't increase it, but then if I put down the access point, that does use a channel, so that increases it. So that's good. These two actually don't use any channels. But you'll see we're at 6 of 8. I assume that 6 is the ME drive is 1, the security terminal is 2, the storage bus is 3. We have 2 level emitters. That's 4 and 5. And then we have the import bus there, which is 6. So I believe those are our 6 there that we're using. And then the wireless access point is 7. Yes. So we do have space for 1 more channel because we have 8 by default. However, if we're going to export polymer clay to all of these, we need, well, I was going to say we need 4 more. That's not strictly true. What we could do if we want to lower the number of channels we're going to use is we could export to all of our polymer clay to a drawer, and then just extract from that drawer to the simulation chambers. But either way, I think we are definitely going to want to get a controller, because the controller is well, we're going to need more than 8 channels anyway, right? Because not only do we need the exporters to export the polymer clay, we also have to automate the crafting of the polymer clay, which is going to, in and of itself, require more channels. So let's get our presses, and let's start making some more calculation processes. We need at least 1 more. We are out of silicon. Now, people did recommend, I think, a better way of making silicon. You can sag mill Certus quartz, but I don't know if that's necessarily worth it. Oh, you can. Oh, okay. I did not see this recipe before, chat, but you can indeed sag mill sand directly into silicon. It does have a set chance, but that chance is modified by grinding balls. even though it's not a 100% chance, the fact that we can, I was going to say the fact that we can automate sand makes it a very promising prospect. We can also automate clay, I guess, but either way, I think this is definitely easier than using the clay. That makes a lot more sense. So if we're going to make the controller, now that we have some more calculation processors, I don't think that's going to be too bad. We do need the 4 Skystone, which we have. We need the, is it a calculation processor? Oh no, it's an engineering processor, I see. Hold on, let me make one of those real quick, chat. It should now be a lot faster. It is indeed. Does help though if you have your silicon on you. There we go. We do also need 4 pure Certus quartz or pure Fluix crystals, which shouldn't, again, be too difficult. We do need some Fluix dust, but we already had some. Beautiful. We'll throw that in there. We'll also take 3 of these and throw those in as well. That's going to grow those nice and fast. We do need 2 more, though. So let me grab 1 more Fluix crystal. Quickly throw that through the old sag mill here. And do the same thing again. And once those are done, that should be the controller basically taken care of. The reason that the controller helps with the channel situation is that the EMMI controller allows you to connect up to 8 devices, 8 channels per side of the controller. So because the controller has 6 sides, that allows you to connect up to 48 devices, as opposed to the 8 devices that we can currently do without a controller. And on top of that, you can also connect multiple controllers together. So if you wanted to, you could put down, 2 of them side by side, at which point you do obviously lose access to the middle side there on each controller, but you net gain sides, right? So if you had 2 controllers, you'd have a total of 10 sides, which would give you access to 80 channels. And you can do it more and more and more and make a nice big multi-block controller if you like. But now, though, let's go ahead and put this guy down. And we are going to have to, I think, find like a better place for this guy fairly soon. But temporarily, I'm kind of just thinking that I might move you over here. I kind of want to move the EMMI drive to the right and put the controller down like this for now. Yeah, so that should work. Now, what we should see is if we were to, for example, get rid of this cable and put down this cable, you'll see that this cable here is apparently using, oh, there we go, it's using 4 channels. So now because the drive is on this side of the controller, that's using 1 channel. Over here, we're using 2 channels on the back, and we're using 0 channels on the left. And then the 4 channels on the bottom, again, are the level emitters, the import bus, and the storage bus. But that does mean that we now have 4 spaces on the bottom to work with. So, we need now to automate the production of polymer clay and to automate the sending of polymer clay over to our simulation chambers. To do that, chat, we're going to need a couple of things. A couple of things that we're going to have to make, I think, in the next stream, because as it would appear, chat, time is out. So, yeah, next time we'll come back. We will look at crafting. We need to get a pattern terminal. We need to make some patterns. We need to make a crafting CPU. We need to get some molecular assemblers, some EMMI interfaces, and we need to really start automating some stuff. We need to start setting up some auto crafting, get some export buses, really start exporting, get some crafting cards. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into the auto crafting of the polymer clay, but once we have it, we should then have automated diamonds, automated iron, automated ender pearls, and automated wither skeleton skulls, which should hopefully make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier and should be able to kind of self-sustain them whilst also giving us extra iron, extra ender pearls, extra diamonds, and extra wither skeleton skulls that if we want, we could use for power, for example, in the old nether star generator, which does produce a good chunk of power for us. But for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's stream there.